Let's get Mr. Fage in here. Well, he says in River State laws, these procedures are not spelled out. So, how did you go about, or what do you think of the fact that if this is not spelled out, so they could come in?
I can read to him the law.
Go ahead before he
Let
responds.
me read to him. Now, this is paragraph 3.
Yeah.
Subparagraph 1. Subject to the provisions of this paragraph, the Vice Chancellor shall be appointed by the Governor acting on the recommendation of a joint selection committee of Senate and Council. 2. Subject to the provisions of this paragraph, a Vice Chancellor shall be removed from office by the Governor after consulting the Council. Now, you go down to 3, say the Vice Chancellor shall hold office for 4 years in the first instance.
Second?
Look, when you interpret in the first instance, there is a presupposition of a second instance.
Yeah, what does it say about second instance?
Now, you come back to second instance, that is 6.2. That, straight to the provision of paragraph 3.3 above, a person who has ceased to hold an office so mentioned otherwise than by removal for misconduct shall be eligible for reappointment to that office. In our university, Professor Ayazo was a Vice Chancellor. He served his first term and was reappointed automatically. But in this case, because of the wranglings, the council allowed for, as though they were going to do a fresh appointment, open the window for other persons to contest.
Okay. Nasser Fage, do you agree with this perspective? Mr. Fage, are you still there? I'm not sure he can confirm.
See, to compare, I can quickly read to you. This is the law, UNILAG law,
Yeah.
which is applicable to the University of Calabar, to Lorraine, and all that. And you can see a clear cut. And this law was to cure a similar problem in these universities, where the term was cut down to a single term of 5 years. So an incumbent vice chancellor need not recontest the position because of this problem. But look, our university is a peculiar university. From a conception to establishment, to address our peculiar needs.
Okay, for those who might be thinking, yes, River State law, it looks as though at some point the River State law takes effect, and at some other points the other law which ASU cites takes effect. So there seems to be a conflict here.
I'll quickly explain. The ASU National, I'm very convinced, I've not even read this law.
Why do you say so?
I'm convinced because the argument they're putting forth is based on the laws in the federal universities.
What about the ASU local? I mean, because we understand that the ASU local sought the sympathy of the ASU national.
The ASU local went to court. That's the very fundamental point.
They went to court on the appointment of the first instance?
Yes.
Okay.
And they went to court. My brief to the university was that, look, one, can ASU go to court on the issue of appointment of a vice chancellor? ASU is a trade union. And by paragraph 14, of the Trade Union Act, every trade union must have a constitution that will spell out its powers and its functions.
All right.
And appointment is not a matter for trade union.
We got Mr. Fage back now. Mr. Fage, well, ever since we lost you, well, he's now said that, secondly, in addition to what he said previously, or thirdly, that you can't actually go to court on this matter because you say it's not a trade dispute.
It's not a trade dispute.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
ASU's going to court on this matter. He says here, Mr. Williams, that the second is, this is not even a trade dispute. Why is ASU going to court on it?
Hello?
We can hear you.
There is a legal issue which should be interpreted by court of law. But there is also the political issue. And the political issue is totally in the purview of our members. Because our members have the right, if they perceive injustice, they can be able to take an action to make sure that that injustice is corrected. So that is the issue.
Have you read the River State law? Because he suggests that perhaps ASU National...
We have the law. We have the law. There is nowhere where the River State law, River State University of Science and Technology law, mandates the visitor to appoint somebody in acting capacity. And it is also legally wrong when a process has already started to terminate it simply because your favored candidate is not winning in the process.
Is that why
No, you see,
the governor terminated?
No, they keep making this fundamental mistake. The governor has announced to the public that I have received the report of the Joint Selection Committee and that the committee recommended 2 persons. The other 3 were disqualified. It's not the governor who did that. So you can't talk about the process being terminated. The process was concluded, and then, you know, the committee is headed by the pro-chancellor, who is chairman of council. And then the secretary of council is the university registrar. And at the end of the selection process, the correspondence will go from the pro-chancellor to the governor, which the governor has brought out to read to the world that this is the correspondence from the selection committee.
Which says it was?
Which says that there was advertisement, there was interview. However, there was an incurable defect.
What was it?
With respect to 3 persons. These persons took part in nominating. It's not just nominating the members of the selection committee. We are here, 5 of us are here. You want to contest an election. You nominate the 2 of them to go and vote. Ab initio, you knew you were going to contest as the vice chancellor. You were in council. In council, you took part in nominating the selection committee. You were in Senate. You were also part of nominating those. So from the beginning, those contestants have already been able to push people that will vote for them. Now the point is, there is a spreadsheet with which you now rank people in terms of their eligibility. One is that if you have been a vice chancellor before, you have about 20 points.
Okay.
Now the point that at the end of the entire process, the governor has received the correspondence from the committee.
All right, we'll come to that ranking. Mr. Fage, are you privy to this information?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Did you hear his response now?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that what kind of image is she painting of retired Justice Karibi White? If somebody who is a retired justice of the Supreme Court will supervise, indeed head process, and then you are saying that he is the one who said the process is not free and fair. I don't think you are painting a good image of Karibi White as a retired justice of the Federation. But I think be that as it may, the issue is that there was a process, and the selection process was completed at the level of council. And out of the 5 people that were interviewed, 3 people, got the highest score, and the candidate of the visitor was the last in that selection process, took the last position. So it's simply because the candidate, the favored candidate, was not really selected among the names that are forwarded to the visitor. That is why the visitor decided to terminate the process and then bring back Fakare in acting capacity. That is what we are saying, that is wrong.
Well, anyway, let's come in here because looking at all of this, talking about some legal matters.
There are more than 200 members of Congress who witnessed when Governor Amechi gave the pledge at Congress. So I want him to bring witnesses on his side